think about it anymore.
Well, I learned from a friend that showed me why. Instead of asking why, start asking why not. Time flies, when you're lying in the sun. Bit by bit, the older that we get, the faster it tick, 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 ticks. Time flies, whoa, whoa, time flies.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Dennis Beck, for that intro song as usual. And we want to thank our producer, Logan Fraker, over here behind the screen for another episode of the Marshfield Old School Times. It's December the 7th, so I think it would be appropriate to remember this particular date in our history of our nation and all of the fallen soldiers and those that gave their lives for our freedom on that fateful day in Pearl Harbor. Also, I want to remind everyone that today is the Marshfield Christmas Parade around the square. There's vendors, there's all kinds of activities going on. We have a pinball tournament going on here at the arcade downstairs, the Retro Zone. And there's a vendor fair in the gymnasium over here today. So just a lot going on in Marshfield here on this little bit cool, but a little bit nicer December 7th than we've had earlier in the week. Today, I'm really excited to have two good friends of mine here with us today that I've been able to and had the pleasure and honor of serving with on the Marshfield Public Schools Foundation Board. Martha Foglesong, welcome today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Dr. Rex Newcomb, welcome.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in and talking just a little bit about what the Marshfield Public Schools Foundation does for the patrons and the students of our community, as well as talking about the big fundraiser that we have coming up that you all will be helping with. As I said, I've been on the board now since I think 97 or 98, so I guess I'm about the second longest standing member. But Marty, you're the longest standing member we have, and it's an honor to have you here. And we're going to kind of start out today. First of all, tell people who you are. Most of our viewers probably do know you, but we like to get this on used to say on film, but in the cloud for future generations to enjoy. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and,
Well,
share.
of course, I'm Marty Foglesong, and I guess I've been on, 2 or 3 years before you were.
Yeah,
the
94, I think.
Original member. Grew up here and went through the school system. We lived away for a while and then moved back, and my husband bought D.D. Hamilton Title Company, and I did some substitute teaching, and we have one son who graduated from the Marshfield High School and lives here and now runs our business, and he went on from here to Drury and then became an attorney after that and worked for a while, but then moved back here. And we have 2 grandsons, and just have really enjoyed my time with the school foundation and feel it is very important to our community and to our schools.
Yes, it really is. I think a lot of people, it's one of the best kept hidden secrets in town. I don't think people really realize what we do, and we're going to certainly get into that in just a moment. I do have to mention that the one thing that Marty, her maiden name was Fian, and Mr. Fian was a well-known businessman here in the community many years ago. But I had the honor of serving as state representative, as you know, and so did Mr. Fian back in the 30s, in the 1930s. And so every time people from Marshfield would come to the Capitol, I always made a point of taking him to that picture that's on the wall up there and showing him Mr. Fian. And it was just an honor to be able to step in his footsteps in that role.
Very nice.
Dr. Newcomb, everybody knows you because you help all of us see. But beyond that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I came to Marshfield in 1984 and married Susan West in 87, and we have 2 girls, and 3 grandchildren. They're 7, 2, and 3 months old, and they are wonderful.
Not spoiled or anything.
No,
no.
not at all. And Marshfield's been a good community. I grew up in Bolivar. Don't hold that against me. But I think I am the only person on our board that did not graduate from Marshfield.
Maybe
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, but Susan did.
Susan,
And she was pretty infamous or famous in Marshfield School, so
she still is.
she still is. So that works. And of course, Susan's parents, you know, Mr. West, Bill, and Naomi were well-known business people in Marshfield, and everybody remembers Shields Pharmacy up on the square, and Mr. West ran that, of course, owned that, and so it's always good to again reminisce and hear a little bit about the history and the background of our guests, because there's lots of ties and connections in the spider web of history of Marshfield and its community. So today I thought we would talk a little bit, first of all, about the Marshfield Public School Foundation and sort of what its goals, what its mission is, and why it was formed back in 1994, Marty. I mean, there was a superintendent then, I think, that was very instrumental. So can you give us just a brief history of those early years?
Well, Dr. Joyce Dana was the superintendent, and she had been, I believe, involved in school foundations before she came here. And I must admit, she did most of the work and did the organization and pretty much told us what to do. But it was to help the school, to help the children, to help the teachers, and to be involved. Just be there to do what we could do that wasn't funded or in a budget or something like that. And it was a kind of a new concept, new thing to us, but got off pretty fast, and we had lots of good members.
And of course, as I mentioned, I came in about 4 years after that, probably, and um, to the best of my recollection, I know there was always kind of a need or a way to be able to receive donations, you know, the schools. And so this foundation was established. So if you had, you know, some folks that wanted to leave some endowments or, you know, philanthropic donations or something like that, then they could do that and get the tax benefit of giving to a
Absolutely.
foundation. And because the public schools really didn't have a good receptacle for that. So I think was important. And of
too.
course, this was before the Community Foundation of the Ozarks or any of those were even established, or if they were established, you didn't hear much about them. So it was pretty early in the life of those kind of places to give money. But I think some of those founding members, of course, many people. Mary Ruth Brooks was very very instrumental, and she was on the board until she passed a few years ago, and was always our president most of the years that I've been on the board until then. And you know, there were folks like Art Rhodes and Stanley Kudamelka, who's a local pharmacist, who is Regina Spriggs's father, and Regina's now on our board. Shirley Hanman was on the board in those early years, and Vernon Singer was there a long time as well until he passed away. So just some really good, solid business people in Marshfield that kind of got this thing kicked off in the right direction, so to speak. And then Doc, you came in not too long after I did, and you've been on the board probably 20 years or better, haven't you?
At least.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when I started.
Right. But I know after you came, not long after that, we really got our feet wet and stepped into a project that was kind of a dream that had been out there for a long time. And so the opportunity came up to build a community auditorium. And why don't you talk just a little bit about that, if you would?
Okay. I'll go back just a little bit to the initial gift that caused the foundation to be formed. And that was the Henry and Helen Phelan family wanted to donate money and establish a scholarship in agriculture. and they had no place for it to go. And that was the initial gift
Okay.
that made Dr. Dana want to get the
Yeah.
foundation up and going. And then shortly after that, the Carl and Glessie Young gifted a large sum of stocks and to build the auditorium, and so the foundation worked with the school hand in hand on that, and that was already started when I got on the board, but it wasn't built yet.
Yeah.
But the programming and foundation work was already going.
Of course, it was built the same time the new high school was built. We've talked about some of that timeline on this show before with history of the Marshfield schools, but about 2001, I think, is when that project was gotten underway. And the best of my recollection, I think when the Youngs decided they wanted to do this, because they had actually read an article in the paper, I think, and we had some good coverage then of what we were trying to do to build an auditorium, and then they approached, I think it might have been Mary Ruth or Paula Greer, or both of them, about this donation, because Carlene Young, their daughter, Carlin Glessie's daughter, went to school with Paula, and Ruth was in school, a little older than them, but so it was again one of those community connections that allowed this to happen, and I think it's just really a neat story that a community, you read those stories and you hear about them, people coming together to get something done, and that's what happened with this. And so the school board at the time did collaborate with our foundation board and allowed us to be involved, because the donation was actually given to the foundation, not to the school, to build it up. It's a really unique partnership, I think. And then, of course, we had the grand opening, and Marty, you've got the brochure there for the auditorium. You might mention that a minute.
Well, that was really a fun, exciting time to do something that kind of showcased our young people and the talents and the abilities and things that all of these, particularly the seniors, I guess, but and of course Dr. Dana and Meredith Brooks worked hard on this, and the rest of us did what we could. Did what we were told to do, let's say, but it worked out just fun, and it was really nice and really well attended, and just had some really interesting quality speakers come that really were interesting to listen to and had something to say.
A lot of Marshfield talent too.
Yes, yes.
Even Wayne Schroeder and Mark Lawley, and some that had went to Marshfield schools that went on and made professional careers with their music and so forth.
And my son got to sing Old Man River. the first opening, I mean, the first, we call it, what was it called? No, you know what? Number. That wasn't the grand opening. That was our breakfast of champions.
Oh yeah.
That was our breakfast.
We'll talk about that
champions.
too in just a minute. Yeah.
That it was fun.
Yeah.
But the auditorium was.
I know
that was lovely, and
there were so many people that had planned to come, and I don't remember how we did that with tickets, or of course there wasn't a charge, but reservations. But we had to have two performances, or two of them.
Yes.
There was one at, I think, 2:00 and one at 4:00 on that particular Sunday, because there was just so many people that wanted to attend that, and we couldn't, even though the auditorium seated 700 or 800 people, we couldn't get them all in one showing.
And we had this new grand piano.
Yes.
That not positive that it was new, but it was sure new and a lot nicer.
I think it might have been, but well.
Than what we had to work with.
If you remember, I can't remember who, but for some reason everyone said, well, we needed a grand piano.
Yeah.
And the Youngs, even after making that huge donation, they came back and said, "Will you get the piano and we'll cover it? We'll make sure you have the money."
Oh, I know.
After they had already made the initial
Yes.
donation. So,
But it just all came off so well.
yeah,
And was appreciated by the community
It
and the
was.
schools
It was.
and has been a benefit
Yeah.
from then on.
the other thing that I think it's worth noting that we made an agreement with the school board that as long as we could, as long as people would, we would always honor the Youngs in that auditorium when there was a performance. There's a, there's a pedestal out in the lobby honoring them with their pictures and the family of their family. There was at least I think maybe 4 seats designated with their name on them. If they ever attended, they would sit in those particular seats. And as far as I know, that's always been honored. In any performance that I attend there, they always give recognition to the Youngs, which was kind of what we all intended. And I think that's neat that the community's done that in the school. Talk a little bit about the Breakfast of Champions. You mentioned that. Either one of you. I know you've got a flyer there.
Well, we had at least 2,
Mhm.
and the first one was held in 1998.
Yeah.
And cost $25.
And it was a fundraiser, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the second one was also a $25 fundraiser, and one of them we had Lieutenant General Tommy Jaco retired as a guest speaker for the Breakfast of Champions. Justin Bertaldi and other local school students that performed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, we had Congressman Roy Blunt, and I think who was the other?
Well, we had Barry Henson,
We had
Barry
Barry
Henson.
the
Henson.
coach of the MSU.
Mhm.
Yeah.
MSU.
Yeah.
He was the
Bears.
third one.
He
Yeah.
was. It wasn't.
And,
It wasn't the other guy. I think
Yeah.
it was him.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth to note. Look at the bottom here of why we were wanting to raise some funds. So this was 2 or 3 years prior to the auditorium donation by the Youngs. But if you read parts of that there,
Funds raised will be placed in the foundation's general endowment for school community scholarships, as well as benefit the 5-year capital projects campaign to construct a school community auditorium.
so that was in the works. And then the Youngs bailed us out
1998.
and allowed us to get it done. So it's pretty neat. Pretty neat. So let's talk a little bit about our scholarships and grants. And I know when that auditorium was built, we had 7 scholarships. So that would have been 8 years after the initial beginning of the foundation with the Phelan scholarship, as you talked about. So we had 7 by 2002. Now, where are we at today on that, Doc?
I counted it up a while ago. What did I say?
24. Okay.
24.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got on the board, dear sweet Martha Fine, Foglesong, told me we only meet 4 times a year. It doesn't take up any time.
I didn't realize.
And we had 6 or 7 scholarships. Now we have close to $1 million sitting in our funds, and we have 20 some scholarships, and they keep growing. We keep getting new scholarships, and most of these scholarships are self-perpetuating, so they will stay forever, and there are a few that the families have said, let's just go ahead and bump up the scholarship award and spend it down, and when it's finished, it's finished. And we've done that through the years, and probably I can think of 4 or 5 that we have done that with since I've been on the board. and we have a couple more that's about to do that right now. But most of what we have are scholarships that have enough money that they're going to continue to. It's just like the Henry and Helen Phelan Scholarship. That was 1994. Here we are 30 years later, and it still is
Yeah.
giving a very good
Right.
scholarship. It's over $1,000,
Yeah.
I believe, to a student, and that's a pretty significant scholarship.
Right. And that this note here, it said in 2016 we had $500,000. Is that what that said?
Yes.
So from 2016 until now, we've doubled that.
Doubled
Even. So that's pretty helpful, pretty good. Yeah. I think the thing too to think about, Marshfield graduates around 200 kids a year, roughly, give or take, and a lot of them are they're not going to go to college. Many have the A+ program that they can participate at OTC and other technical colleges. So that that takes care of a lot of students. And then you have some students that get bright flights or full rides or scholarships because of athletic abilities or certain academic abilities, whatever. So there's really a gap in there that between the ones that get other Pell Grants and what have you. And I think we really fill a gap there, a need for those students that they don't really get a lot of financial assistance. They may not qualify for a scholarship because of their scores or athletic ability. And I think when you look at we have 24 now, man, then that keeps growing. We're really touching a lot of the students in some way or another with help if they want to go to school. And I think that's something that I'm proud of, that every student should have the opportunity to go, and people see that need when they leave memorials or endowments or something like that. So it's just really rewarding to be on this board.
We have
It is.
we have donated in scholarships and grants to students and back to teachers in the school, nearly $1,200,000
Wow.
since 1994.
I had no idea.
Wow.
So
Great. Yeah.
we're doing okay.
Yeah, and we might tell our board, because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And
That is, it's great. Well, then let's talk about our other program that we're really proud of that's been going now for quite a while, Teachers Grants. Rex, why don't you start us with that?
Several years ago, we decided to try to help support the teachers in the form of a $500 grant, and they applied for those grants, and we would guarantee at least 2 grants a year. If we had the funding, we would give more. And usually we did. There has been times when we would give as many as 20 or more in a year. And so that's a nice benefit for the teachers. My wife taught, and I know she did a lot of out-of-pocket things, and as do all teachers, and $500 doesn't go very far, but it's a help.
Right.
And
I think that a lot of people think, well, there's a lot of tax money that goes to the schools, and they should be able to buy things for the students and all that, and that's true. And I think in general, the funding for the public schools are better today than they've been in a long time. However, there are extra things sometimes that kind of bonus things, things that maybe aren't necessary to do their job, but it makes their job easier, or it helps to try to teach the students something. And that's what this is about. And so in the past, like you said, they just pay for it out of their pocket. So it's been really good. Along with that, we have I should mention that the school foundation itself, we issue in addition to all the teachers grants, we also issue 2 scholarships a year as well. 3 now.
Mhm.
Okay. So I think we forgot to mention that on the
Yep.
scholarship side, but we're raising money for the teachers grants, but we're also raising money for those 3 scholarships that we give through our fundraising efforts, not endowments from donations.
Yeah.
So when you add all that together, it's a pretty good chunk of money. It could be as much as 15,000 a year or something like that when you add those scholarships in there. But we have a new teacher grant program that is just getting started, and Marty, I think you should talk a little bit about that.
Well, John and I both uh, just want the children of our community to have the best education, the best situation that they can have at school. And our teachers work so hard to do that. And they not only have to teach, they have to be an example. They have to help these children in so many ways, and ways that I don't know about, but we want the teachers to be not necessarily rewarded, but given what they need to help children become as good as they can be, and confident, and uh, able to go on and be good people. And so we decided that this was time for us to give some money to help do that.
Start an endowment, um, and it's a very generous endowment that John and Marty have established. Um, we really appreciate it from the foundation board, I know's perspective. We really appreciate the contribution and the grants that this will fund. And Doc, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that or touch upon what that might do for us.
So, in addition to the teacher grants that the school foundation does at 500 a piece, this will be this particular year will be 5 $1,000 grants.
Yeah.
And that hopes to grow, if I
Yes,
understand
Yeah.
that
yes.
correctly. And so the teachers can apply to both, either or, but they won't get both.
Both.
Mhm.
But they have the freedom to apply to both types of teacher grants.
Mhm.
And hopefully that will expand and help the teachers even further.
Absolutely. And of course, that's not just an annual donation. That's an endowment that's been set up that the proceeds will produce that kind of income and money that can be utilized for this. So it's an extremely generous donation, and again, we really do appreciate that. And I know that it will pay off for a lot of kids down the road. So that kind of brings us to what we've got going on here next week. We're here.
We have something going on.
Well, you know, it's just one of those quarterly meetings that that Marty told you about when you joined. So we have the Christmas home tour that was presented to us last year, I believe,
Yes.
by another one of our board members. By the way, I'm going to mention our board members because we really haven't talked about everyone else. Rex is the president, and of course, that's why he's here today as well. And then Marty, of course, is our longest tenured member. I'm the vice president. I don't have to do anything, which is great. And I'm the second longest tenured member. And then we have Stan Whitehurst. Everybody knows Stan, the county clerk. Regina Spriggs, her dad Stanley was on the board back when it started. Tom Henson, Tom, a retired businessman here in town, and happens to be Marty's brother-in-law. If you know Jane, her twin sister, the Fian girls, that Tom is Jane's husband. Christy Lewis Jones, Mr. Lewis, our band director for umpteen years, his daughter, that was in school when I was in school. And then Lib Sims, all of you know Judge Judge Bill Sims, his wife, and then Cindy Rainey, who's I guess our newest board member. And Cindy works at Show Me Power, and she's actually the one that came to us with this idea of doing this home tour. She had experienced this in other communities and brought this idea to us last year. And I think it was unanimous that we all agreed and thought it would be a great idea, a great way to celebrate Christmas. And so now I'll let one of you take that and talk a little bit about last year's tour and then this year's tour.
Do you remember how many homes were in the tour? 11 or 12
Yeah,
last year.
I
Probably.
went on the tour, and it was well worth. Beautiful homes and hospitable, lots of refreshments, different places, and of course we had our
Real nicely done. For
yes
sure.
church and different little playhouse
Yeah.
open and the library.
And it also allowed some history to be told about these places.
Yeah.
And so a lot of
Yeah.
the places would have a write-up that would tell about the history. And I know for the live nativity at the Methodist Church, there was a write-up that talked about the bell that was moved from the St. John's building after it, I believe, burned.
The condo
And-
building.
Goodness, I
Well,
didn't know
wasn't it?
that.
The bell was from the condo.
Well, I
Okay,
thought, it might not have been. The clock
yeah,
might have been the
the
condo.
clock,
The bell was the St.
yeah,
John's. You may
there's,
be right.
there's a clock
Yeah.
that's in the fellowship hall
Yes.
that survived the great tornado.
Right.
Yes.
The condo building
Yeah.
was eradicated, and that clock,
Right.
one wall stayed, and the clock was
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And so it still sits in the fellowship hall today. And then I do believe the bell came
May
from
have. Yeah.
the,
Could be
the
right.
Methodist
I
Church
do
across
too.
the street, the St. John's building,
Mhm.
and it burned, if I remember correctly from looking at the history.
Okay.
And they took that bell and incorporated
That's
it.
nice.
And
Yeah.
then a lot of the stained glass
Yes,
came
the
from
church.
the St. John's building, and so it gives some nice history, and the homes, the people were able to do the same thing about their homes and give the history as they knew it, and I know they're doing that again this year, and I've spoken to a couple of people that are writing up their history
That's awesome.
and everything,
And that fits right into my mission with my Marshfield Old School Times,
Mhm.
because we're here to document history and talk about those kinds of things. So it really works out well.
Yeah.
You know, the 1904, remember the 1904 frame shop that Molly had, which is now the
Yes.
Clay House. And it was
Yes.
built in 1904 because my dad and I owned that at one time. So I knew that. And we actually have the abstract that I'm sure was done by D.D. Hamilton Abstract Company that gave all those dates. And you know, Marion Corbett,
Yeah.
she owned or was involved in that bit somehow or another. I'd have to go back and look, but it was
She worked in the courthouse, and she lived down that
right.
street.
Right.
Maybe next door, but
Right.
I'm learning
Yeah.
from
It's
you
interesting.
all for
It's
what
interesting.
what you know about
Yeah.
these things.
But
well,
the home-
I don't know anything. I just make it up.
Well, that works.
It's worked pretty well.
That works. Yes. Yes.
But it's going to be a fun night. It's next Saturday evening, and it kicks off at the Senior Center.
Yes.
Chili supper, right? Or something.
Bye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
5 o'clock, if I remember correctly.
4:45. They say here
4:45.
you can be there, and
Okay.
then the tickets are $20.
And every person, whether it's a child or adult, has to have a ticket if they're going to go.
Hope you're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And it is very well received last year, and because of that, people were knocking at Cindy's door saying, "I want to participate this year."
Right.
And I think she's having the same thing again for next year.
Mhm.
And so
That's
this
good.
hopefully is going to be a tradition that
Mhm.
will keep going
For a
here
while,
for a while in Marshfield.
And
And the proceeds go to the school foundation, and so that's the nice part about all of it.
and the only way we're funded is through donations,
Yeah.
or
Absolutely.
fundraisers. And so it's important that we have, you know, these these fundraisers, that they do well for us. Now we have a couple other fundraisers, the Major Saver, and we've done the fish fries in the past with the Catholic Church.
Yes.
But you might mention the Major Saver program so people know where that money goes.
The elementary through junior high, I believe, sells discount cards, gift cards, um, and a portion of the funds from that goes to the school itself, and another portion goes back to the school foundation, which ultimately goes back to the school because we
Yeah,
turn around and
For the students,
use
use
it
it somehow, some way, either with the students or with the teachers, or so it's a win-win
right.
situation for the public.
And we've been doing that for quite a while now, and it's I guess you might say probably our largest fundraiser as far as the money that it brings to the foundation. And the school portion, you know, it's a matching thing, so we get half, they get half, and it's done by building. So the ship building can take their money if they want to buy a new piece of playground equipment or whatever they can do for all the kids to enjoy. And then of course we'll use our 50% toward our scholarships and our teachers grants. And then the Catholic Church has been really good about the Knights of Columbus, letting us have a fish fry, you know, once a week, once a year or so, and that's helped us. But we do appreciate the support that the community gives us in any way that they can, and with these fundraisers, it's important for what we're doing. So the home tour this year, next Saturday night, 5 o'clock at the senior center. It'll begin there. You bring your ticket or purchase your ticket there. You can go online early. I think there's a Q code or something on the.
You can pay for it, but you still have to show up at
Yeah.
the senior citizens to pick up your ticket.
Right. Okay.
And the reason for that is you have to have your marching orders. Not They don't want everyone going to one house.
The same house.
Yeah, and so it's they've got you broken up, and I apologize
That's
if you're
okay.
hearing that phone. I had it turned off.
Yeah, so you can purchase prior, but still go by there to pick it up, and they'll give you which house you should
Yes.
start with,
Yeah.
and the order. That way, not, you know, we
Everybody
have
get-
like did we have 100 and some people last year, 120 or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we didn't want all 120 people going to the first house, you know. So we
Be a bit overwhelming.
yeah.
But
So
it
they
worked well.
yeah, it worked out
We
well.
just
with-
all you
progressive.
do is just do what they tell you
Right.
to do, and because I did do it, and
Yes.
it was very
Yes.
nice.
So that's what's going to happen then. Well, we're doing great on time. We've got about 15, 20 minutes left in our hour here, so we're going to keep talking.
Well, that was Florida calling, wanting to tell us something
Florida,
about the school.
probably a spam.
Yeah.
Spam wanting to sell you a condo or something.
Yeah.
Probably timeshare. So what do you guys see going forward? I know. By the way, I should mention that all of our funds for these endowments are invested in good, solid, safe mutual funds, stocks, what have you, with Edward Jones, and I think we have them invested in all three Edward Jones agents here in Marshfield,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then, but if you have, won't you explain that process if someone wants to set one up through someone else or whatever?
Yeah. A lot of our scholarships are endowments that are when someone passes away, they have it in their will to provide establish a scholarship in honor of their wife or them or whatever. And they can be as specific or non-specific on how that money is to be invested. Um, we have one that at the time when it was done was whenever interest rates were very, very high and CDs were giving wonderful rates, and they specified that the money would need to stay in CDs alone. Well, that didn't prove to be the best investment down the road, but we've honored that. And but most and there's a form that Stan Whitehurst has and that people can fill out, and it asks specific questions about how involved do you want to be with this gift and this scholarship, and do you want to be the one to look at the applicants and choose them, or do you want the board of directors to do it? And most people do it that way. And but you can also be very specific on, I want this money to go to someone who's going to welding school or a trade school of some sort, or it really doesn't matter as long as they're going beyond high school. Let's help them out. And the more general things are, the easier it is to deal with and award. The more specific it is. We've had a few that just didn't have any applicants that met the need or the qualifications, and so it wasn't awarded that year. And I don't think that's really the intent of the people when they set it up. They just don't realize how burdensome they can make it. But Stan has done a very good job with going over with families and with the help of the Edward Jones people, and they've come up with some good forums and made it quite easy to donate and stipulate what you want and how you want it done. Our newest scholarship is the Donna Lewis scholarship, and she taught accounting for several years here in Marshfield, and Dee, of course, taught band, and but with her recent passing, why they established a scholarship in her honor, and so that's how most of our scholarships have come about, and it just keeps growing, and that's a good problem to have.
And you know, another thing we could talk about is our fun run in the summer too, because
Thank you, Marty. Absolutely. Yes, we need to do that.
just thinking about Bill Walker was we found out a previous member of the board, and when he passed away, they started.
Yeah.
And so every approximately around the 4th of July, and we have a fun run, and the proceeds go toward funding the scholarship in his honor, and also part of the proceeds go to the school foundation, and so we can utilize that in however we want to use it in other scholarship funding.
Absolutely. And that was established as a memorial to him, and of course the family. Was very instrumental as a coach, and I guess a football coach, a track coach, and so his scholarship, I believe is it supposed to kind of go towards someone, or is it open to, I can't remember exactly, but it seemed like it's designated to stipulate for an athletic type scholarship, I believe. But yeah, that's been a good one that we just started a couple of years ago since his passing, and
That sort of goes along with our
Yeah, Bill Walker Track and Field
yeah,
Scholarship.
yeah.
our
Reunion
our
Fest. Yeah,
reunion
we've
fest.
held it the morning of Reunion Fest the last since we established that 2 years ago. So there's some folks that come in
Not so much.
from out of town and for that and for the 4th of July and so they can participate in that when the Walker family comes down and participates, and so that's another great event that we've established. We are open to any of these kinds of things. If you have a family situation, if you would like to start an endowment, memorials from loved ones passing or whatever, please contact us. I think the local funeral homes have information about the programs that we have there available, and could help you steer us our direction. But it's just a great way to memorialize a family member perpetually, actually. We did both of my parents, and there's enough to fund a scholarship every year, and we hope to add to that and contribute more along the way to increase that amount. So I'm just really proud to be a part of this organization and what we're doing in those ways.
So you asked a while ago how many
Yeah.
scholarships.
Yeah.
And we have 24.
24.
And,
Okay. Yeah. And again, the scholarships themselves total about 700,000. Is that right?
This is as of September.
Yeah. But
So-
all of our funds are up about over $1 million now. So it's just really, I know we might not want to mention all of them, but I think it would be worthy of mentioning some, like the Blaine Price Scholarship that Rex and Virginia Price established in Blaine's honor is one of our larger ones that has been in place now for many years. We mentioned the Henry Phelan, and that started with 21,000, I think, back in '94, and it's now grown to almost 100,000 plus giving the proceeds each year. Harry Talbot Scholarship, George Daly, those are older scholarships that have been around since the early days. The Jack and Etta Jean Waters family established one in their honor, and that's a nice fund that is established. The Mr. Barr, R.A. Barr Scholarship that Pat and Deanne established in memory of Marshfield's longest running superintendent, and that's one that's there. My folks, Don and Lois Fraker, Mary Ruth Brooks Scholarship that was established from her memorials. Pam King, a local teacher that I think kind of died suddenly, tragically, and her husband Jim and the family established that one in her honor. And then Vernon Singer, a longtime member. Just again, we've got time, I guess. The Mr. Audie D. Hart, the Jim Trantham Scholarship, the Leonard Brown Scholarship, Vic Perryman Memorial, the Bill Walker Memorial, then the Carlin Glessy Young Scholarship that's been here a while now, and then Paul Van Giesen. I think you didn't mention that one. And then those that we mentioned that the foundation itself has set up, the Gem Fund. When we talk about that, talk about the Gem Fund, Rex. That's the one with Mr. Wutke and Al Thomas set up.
Yeah, that is a fund that was established to try to encourage teachers, help them with scholarships to get a teaching degree, and then to encourage them to come back into the Marshfield school system. And I think it's set up so that they get 3 $1,000
That's right.
awards, but the third one is only given if they come back into the Marshfield school system.
Yeah.
And which is kind of nice.
It is. And that's a nice fund that's growing. 68,000 in that fund right now, so it's going to fund those amounts very well, I would think.
Yeah.
The Yankee Fund, there's another one that's just a great fund that the Yankee family left for us to manage.
that was actually a property that they donated to the foundation, and we are not in the business to handle property, and we're here for education, and so as soon as the title got clear, we sold it, and then used that money to fund this scholarship, and they were very specific that they wanted it to go for underprivileged and underserved children.
Yeah.
And so we've tried to find innovative ways to apply that to help out with the kids in various ways.
Yeah, the George E. Case McCall Scholarship, we have that one out available. The Bill Roberts Scholarship, in honor of Bill. He's still with us and doing well, retired ag teacher, and that's an agriculture student scholarship. The Community Fitness Scholarship is another one that was established, and don't want to miss anybody. I think that may be all of them. Leonard Brown, I don't know if I said that one or not. The Leonard Brown Scout family set that one up, and then we have the two that we fund. Well, three: the Paula Greer, and then the Marshfield Public School Foundation Vocational Fund Scholarship and the College Bound Scholarship. So we give three that we fund ourselves, and I believe I got everybody there. But
Yep.
it's just exciting to see these funds grow. Obviously, there was a year or two where the funds didn't grow much, and then here the last year or two they've grown quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And
But anybody can give
right,
for any reason,
right,
you know, and
And it's tax deductible.
there you go.
Mhm.
And
We are a 501c.
Yep.
C3.
C3, I think.
C3.
And we are a receptor too. We also are utilized by other like booster clubs,
yes,
and if someone, I know a few years ago, Webster Electric helped with some funding for a new stage for the gymnasium. They need a portable stage, and some reason or another in Webster's bylaws they couldn't give directly to a school or something, but they could give through us. And so we've been there to help other playground equipment. We've helped
yes.
purchase playground equipment. I know at Hubble Elementary years ago, and things like that we can do. One thing we haven't touched upon, and I'll talk about this because it's certainly near and dear to my heart. The building we're sitting in today, the Marshfield Community Center, was, of course, once Marshfield High School, and about the time that the new school was built, about the time we opened that auditorium in '02, the school foundation became the owners of this property and owned it until 2022, when Melanie and I purchased the property through the coercion of these two and others. But but anyway, it was a great time for the community to keep this campus alive, and did a great job of doing that, with the Christian school being in here for many years, and the alternative school was here. The gym was always used, and of course we're trying to carry on that tradition and do even more with it in order to pay the bills. But the school foundation is the entity that made this happen and kept it alive. It probably would have been sold on the auction, or may become a who knows what back in 2022 if the foundation hadn't stepped in and kept it in use for the community. And that's what we are committed to doing as well. When we purchased it, it has to continue to be used by the community. So,
And we could hardly find a place to park because they are having so many things here. It's a great venue for different kinds of things, and we're grateful to Melanie and Lyndall for keeping this alive and keeping things going here, for particularly for those of us that went to school here,
yeah.
graduated from here. But the school foundation in my life, and I'm not the oldest member there, but I'm next to the oldest, I think, has really been important. I know that our president, our treasurer, exceptionally busy with it, and really give a lot of their time, and they're both professional working people, but give a lot of their time to keep things going and know what's going on. And it has been, other than my music and my family, different things, a very important thing to me.
I totally agree, Marty, and that's a great way to kind of wrap up our hour today with that nice editorial and summary. And of course, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Stan Whitehurst is our treasurer, and he does a tremendous job and a lot of work, like you said. He and Dr. Newcomb actually carry the yeoman shore of that work.
The website.
Yeah, we have a website.
Right.
Yeah, we have a website.
It's MP
SF.
MPSF
Uh-huh.
.org,
.org.
and you can find our website, and it tells. Actually, it has a nice blip on the upcoming home tour, and you can actually purchase tickets online there.
Yeah.
And any fundraiser that's going on or coming up, it will be listed there. But it tells a little bit about the history and our scholarships and everything as well.
Mhm.
And I think that's a good asset for our foundation to have that website.
It is. And Facebook,
do
we have a
too.
Facebook site as well, Marshfield Public School Foundation. If you type that in, it'll come up, and certainly we can communicate that way and stay up to date with what's coming up, on our schedules and that kind of thing. Well, believe it or not, it's been an hour. I told you to go by fast, and it'd be fun, didn't I? This has really been a treat today to have these two in here. I want to mention one more thing. Marty, you've been directing the United Methodist Church Choir cantata for Christmas for how many years now?
75 is when I started. So
1975.
been the first.
So you're
year.
coming upon 50 years.
Yeah, I guess right.
Next year would be 50 years. So this Sunday, right? Or is it week from Sunday? Okay, so the 14th is
It's a
busy weekend.
busy
And
It is.
so we have the home tour, you have the live nativity at the Methodist Church on Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
right.
Yep.
which will be part of the tour. So
Right.
it'll be one of your stops on Saturday night, the 14th. But then the next morning on the 15th is the cantata that you've directed
At
for
10 o'clock.
49 years at 10 a.m. It's a wonderful performance that everyone should attend if they have never done that. Obviously, my mom and dad were involved for many years.
Very involved.
As part of that.
His brother.
Yes.
And he could have been always. He
No,
sings,
not
Lyndall
really.
sings very
Not
well.
really.
And Dr. Newcomb
Yes.
is very important in our choir.
But that service to our community, not just to your church,
Right.
but to
Hope
our
so.
community, is extremely noteworthy, and something that's may have not been ever, will never be repeated, and maybe no one has ever been able to say that they directed choir for 49 years. Even Mr. Mooney or some of those kind of people, you've probably got the record.
Yeah.
haven't you?
Right. Well, it's been a joy too, as I said, music in this. But we appreciate Lyndall saying something about it, because we enjoy doing it, and I think it does give people kind of the real start of what Christmas is all about.
It does, absolutely.
Hope.
And then I should mention this Sunday evening is the Ozark Mountain Community Christmas Orchestra or something like that. I have to mention that because my grandson is a drummer in the orchestra. So that will be at the Carlin Glessy Young Auditorium. And I think that's something that was started last year, and there are several community members in that. So, and I think also there's another event. I think the Colin Bailey and his little groups, I shouldn't say little group, his trio or whatever, is performing at the condo venue, Randy Clare's venue, I believe. I think that's Sunday night, but someone said they were sold out. So a lot of things going on. Christmas on the square right now. Come on down, watch the parade at 5 o'clock. And it's that time of the year. So we're gonna sign off. thank you all for coming today.
Thank you
It's
for
been
having
fun.
us.
Hopefully everybody's learned a little bit about the school
Yes.
foundation and how important it is. And all of you have a Merry Christmas. Thank you. Oh, we're going to see you next week. I got a great guest next week. I'm going to leave you in suspense.
Shoot.